He was a state trooper. He liked brewing beer. Well, now he owns a brewery in Kingman, Arizona. Welcome to the Brewmance. I'm Rob Hunter, joined by Mike Russell. We gather over a beer for good, interesting, fun conversations. And we welcome Terry Thompson from Rickety Cricket Brewing in. And Mike, before we say hi to Terry, we've got a Rickety Cricket beer to drink. What do we got?
Yeah, I jumped all over this because it's called aiming oil. And in the outdoor world with it at the Go Show is we usually call this sight lube if you have a little drink before, when you shouldn't. So we call that sight lube. But aiming oil, I found out when I was looking at the can, it's actually about golf because you need to wash your balls, check your grip, check your stance, aim, and swing. It's one of the coolest things I've seen on a beer can right there. So we have some aiming oil we're going with. And Terry, you're drinking some goodness. What are you drinking? I think we had this a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I got kind of that breakfast style milk stout going. I got a little tits on a goose rolling here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or we called it second base on the goose while we were reviewing it last week or the week before or whenever the heck we got out of 2021. Yeah. So Rob ran into you. I knew you from way back, and I had no idea that this would happen. I met you at Saddle Mountain Brewing, and we're just sitting at the bar and chatting it up. I don't know if we're talking to Laura how that worked out, but you started talking about pizza, and I'm like, you had me at pizza, dude. So we're talking about your brewery, we're talking about pizza, and then you say you guys should come up sometime. And then years pass because we're down here in Phoenix, and you're in Kingman, Arizona.
Right.
Rob's doing this Route 66 thing. And he said, hey, I stopped at this really cool brewery called Rickety Cricket. I talked to the owner, Terry. We had a great time. I felt like Spicoli from Fast Times. I was like, oh, I know that dude. I was all excited. I know him. And now here you are on the Brewmance show. So Rob said you had an amazing story. You were a state cop turned brewery restaurant owner. I don't even know where to start with that.
Yeah. When I was an Arizona state trooper, from 2008, and I retired with an on-duty back injury, and I had just kind of been brewing in the garage and doing my thing, and that kind of led into where we're at today, and I took kind of that passion into the next level, into the commercial level, and just started having a lot of fun with it. And I still got a lot of fun colleagues out there risking their lives every day, and I mean, behind me is that blue line, and there's never a day that goes by that, we don't think of those heroes that are out there putting their life on the line for us every day. And in that meantime, I kind of changed direction and started brewing commercially and turned my love for food and culinary arts into award-winning pizza and competitions and just chasing after that next dream,
What I love most is you walk into Rickety Cricket, and there's the tap room and there's the restaurant in Kingman. And this was something we knew that on our Route 66 trip we were going to do. Like, we knew because we had Rickety Cricket at one of the Arizona Strong Beer Festival tours back when we still had those things, which I think the first one is coming back this year. And so I knew that I wanted to stop because I haven't been to Kingman ever. I've only been through Kingman to go to Vegas, and that's only been a couple of times, been years. So we stop in, and I think the sense of humor that you guys have is really a standout. Now, I know cops have a different sense of humor than most of us, but you open the menu, so you have pizza at the tap room, and the pizza's phenomenal. And I'll tell you the one that Amy and I got, Mrs. Brewmance, Lady Brewmance, the dill dough, because it's a pizza with pickles and sausage on it. And all the pizzas have names along that realm, which you don't normally see someone taking that many risks with a name like dildo. So, Terry, walk us through how you've taken your sort of sense of humor and morphed it into Rickety Cricket Brewing.
I think basically people have kind of in this industry have kind of forced me to do that because I'm kind of over catering to that person that just wants to be just like, I need a pepperoni pizza and a sausage pizza. We're kind of like, we're a little rude now. We're a little crude. We're kind of venturing out into that thing because I'm basically over the normal motoring public when it comes to trying to satisfy everybody. Like, if you want to come in and have a chuckle, have a laugh, get out of your skin. I feel like people are a little too serious nowadays, and there's too many restaurant owners and brewery owners walking this tightrope. Like, how do they make everyone just go, oh, what, I need you to come into my store. I need you to drink my beer. I need you. I'm kind of like, open the menu, and if you don't like it, get the fuck out. Like, go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, if you don't like what we're doing, we don't like what you're doing. So, it's kind of the stance I'm starting to take right now. I mean, I'm really getting over all this, all these sensitivity and all these people that are so sensitive, you know. I'm just now saying what we're doing. I'm just like, I just say it. Like, you don't like it, go. That's why, you know, this new release of my wife's beer we got coming on, we'll talk about probably in a little bit down the show, but this is one of those things that people are going to take aside, and they're either going to be like, these guys are out of control, or I got to go there.
I got to go there, and I'm drinking it. So tell me what just say it. Just let it fly, man. I want everyone to know. I was talking to you before we went on air about what this is going to be. So what is
Nice pun. So
thank you.
My wife's brewing a beer called Girl Farts. Like, it is what it is. It's magical. I actually got the let me read the descriptor. So
okay.
Imagine a world where girls fart. These magical heavenly puffs of air will fill your nose with aromatics of pineapple, passion fruit, and guava. Designed and brewed by the ladies of Rickety Cricket, who say, even if you are that girl who fluffs the Dutch oven, releases the occasional silent but deadly, or drops the anger grenade in the shopping aisle, it's okay. So let loose from your caboose and enjoy this handcrafted hazy IPA, because in our world, we can hang with the rest and brew with the best. So we wrote a disclaimer, says, this beer will not provide extra magical flatulence, obviously. And then my wife goes on and does a review and says, it's the best, period.
See, this is what we're talking about. You don't normally see this type of humor in beer, because everybody thinks mass marketing now and that no one wants that sort of edginess.
Right.
But at least it gives us an option, right? To say, look, this might not be for you. If you get offended by talking about girl farts, maybe don't go to Rickety Cricket. But if you're curious about why I'm really curious what girl farts taste like. I really am.
I'm taking that piece of audio and I'm going to make that Rob's ringtone when he calls.
Yeah.
I'm really curious as to what girl farts taste like.
That'd be a great one. Send me that. I'll put that in my phone.
I would ask my closest friends when they say, like, you know, I'm going with this attitude. I'm going with this, just F it. I am who I am, and I don't care who likes it, but I'm running a business. So I would have the follow-up question. And we talk like grown-ups here. So how's that working out for you? So how is it working out for you? Is it I have this new attitude? Is it liberating? Have you seen more success with it?
You know, I think it's really less stressful for me, because you'll get the people that point at the menu that don't want to say it, and we make them say it in the tap room. We make them. You don't get your mom. You don't get your mom if you don't say, I want your mom. Like, you have to order your mom. Because on the menu, just like her, I mean, the thing's full of meat, just like your mom. It's just stuffed with meat. So that's kind of where it's funny watching people actually come into the tap room and go, like, they take a first look, because a lot of people drive down, because my brewing facility, tap room, and my restaurant are 2 blocks from each other. So people will get, like, depending on what side of town they're coming from, they'll be like, oh, that must be it, and stop. And then I see, like, mom, dad, like 3 little kids rolling in. We stop them at the door and we go, are you guys looking for the restaurant or the Dirty Dough tap room? We're very clear with you. Before your 9-year-old that's learning, you know, or your 6-year-old that's learning to see Jill run is seeing mom stuff the dildo in her mouth.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
No. And I think as parents, we appreciate that. Yeah, we really do.
Yeah. I mean, we've added some new pizzas since Rob's been in. We got just the tip on there.
Nice.
I mean, it's a mushroom pizza.
And
it's all just the tip.
See?
And And big props to you and how amazing your pizza are for getting Rob to move away from just standard cheese pizza. That's his guy.
Yeah.
He's the most basic white guy pizza eater I've ever seen in my life. Just straight cheese pizza, and it drives me batty.
Yeah, he's been watching too much of that Portno guy, like just eating cheese, right? Like, I'm gonna base my pizza on that. Screw it. Just like throw whatever you want on it, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of pizzerias are like, oh, offended if you ask for pineapple. It's like, dude, if I got dirty mop water and you want it on there, like, I'll put it on there if that's what you want. I don't care. So it's cool.
That sounds absolutely awful. It was awful enough when you said pineapple, just because in my taste, my palate, not a fan of pineapple on food.
Sure.
I'm not a fan of that. But the mop water thing really drove it home for me. Yeah,
it really solidifies it. Yeah.
Have you guys ever had a bar mat shot? So this was a trick played on me once, where I was younger. What? I was out in Scottsdale, like the kids do in your early 30s, and then so friends, hey, here's a drink. Take this drink. I'm like, all right, cool, free drink, bang. And they were like, I'm like, what? And they're like, it was a bar mat shot. I'm like, who does that to someone? I bet Terry does that to someone.
No, I don't personally do that to anyone.
I'm just kidding. No, I was kidding.
I would give it. I would give it to like my friends. Yeah, absolutely. If Rob was in there and like, you know, I'd give it to Rob.
See?
Yeah.
Maybe I just have that kind of face. That guy's gonna drink a bar mat shot.
Okay, so a bar mat. What is it? I still don't understand what happened here.
When they
you
make
take all
drinks,
the drippings, like you pour in, and anything that pours off of there, like bartender sweat, you know, any of that stuff, like just dripping off onto the bar mat. You just take it, curl the bar mat up, and pour it into a cup. Shoot it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad Rob's had one of those. Rob's actually eating sheep brains too, so I figure it's probably just along the list of stuff that he had to check off.
Maybe that's where my super immunity comes from. I don't know. Oh. The bar mat shot that I
cured
15
COVID.
years ago. Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Doing it all
like
here.
That.
So have you had anybody, Terry, like walk out and been offended? Or because when I was in there, it seemed to me that it's almost a place where you can, okay, I don't have to be on, right? I don't have to pretend that this isn't funny, that there's a pizza called dildo and I can't laugh at it. I'm just like, okay, this is awesome.
Yeah, no, I've had a few people just go, we'll go to the restaurant. You know what I mean? Like nicely go, we'll go to the restaurant. But for the most part, what I'm seeing now is like with the locals coming in, they're basically dragging their friends in that might be doctors, lawyers, nurses, whatever profession they're in, but have never been to the actual Rickety Cricket tap room, the Dirty Dough. So a real quick backup on this point, like we call it the Dirty Dough because when I made the pizza in there, I used the spent grain from the brewing process. So it's a totally different pie. Like we only make so many a day. And when we sell out, we sell out. So when Rob was in there, we sold out of pizzas, obviously. We sell out about every night. And we kind of just gauge the crowd as to how many we're going to make, what we're forecasting for, you know, because we want to sell out. We don't want to push those things. We don't push them in the next day. So we want them gone. We push that craving. We push people to get in there to get that pizza. But when I put the grain into the actual product, when I was making the dough, it looked dirty. And I mean, you imagine a bunch of guys like constantly standing around a brew deck because once you start the brewing process, you don't stop, right? So we're a little foul on there. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna lie. You know, we always make fun and we poke fun, but we're like, hey, did you write that in your book? Like, that's one check mark for me. Like, I got one on you. The Dirty Dough, we're like, oh, it looks dirty. And then out came a nasty joke. And it was like, because I was always trying to just name things dirty in the main restaurant. My wife was always like, no. And then she's finally like, you know what? Take it to that. You take it and run with that. You and the boys just take it and run. And wherever it leads, it leads. So we're seeing this progression of people coming in and now they're ordering a dildo, but then they get to the table and they're really talking about their dildo. Like what its name is, what color it is, how many they have. And it's really these pizzas are conversation starters at a table because it'll just lighten the room. It'll change the mood, whatever mood you're in when you get there, you're changing your conversation when we're like, hey, Mike, I got your mom in the oven or your mom's coming out of the oven. We're putting just the tip in, you know what I mean? Just the tip's going in. So we yell it out so people kind of get a chuckle and they're like, did you hear it? Because you normally wouldn't say that stuff,
Right.
You normally
we're all
wouldn't say
big
that
kids,
stuff.
though. But we're all big kids, and we chuckle at it, we giggle at it.
Yeah.
As refined as we might try to pretend that we are in polite society, when we hear that, just a tip going in, everybody, that's kind of funny.
Anyone's gonna laugh.
That's right. Now, you and I are kind of kindred spirits, and I mean that you had an event at when you were a state trooper. You had a back injury, an on the job back injury.
Yeah.
And you decided to change careers. I did the same. I was in real estate and had a political injury and a banking injury, if you know what I mean. And so I decided to go into one of the hardest businesses you could possibly get into and succeed in. Thank goodness I had Rob the whole way to help me out.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked out. And you decided, for the love of grief, to go into one of the most difficult businesses, because the best way to make a small fortune in the restaurant industry is start with a large fortune. And you actually you went into restaurant and craft brewery for the love of grief. Are we just insane? Are we just really, really lucky? Maybe a little of both.
No, I think I'm leaning toward the insane part right now, because it's a daunting task to own a restaurant. I mean, for my restaurateurs out there listening, I'm preaching to the choir, because they know, like, you own a restaurant, you're 100 hours into your systems, like, no matter what. I mean, job pool hiring, trying to get people to come back to work, it's just not there. I mean, I've been open to close in my restaurant like since Christmas Eve, and there's no relief on the outside. I mean, I just keep having this rotating chain of people. So sometimes I look at it and I go, man, I look back and I go, I built all this, like, holy cow, we have a 300 plus seat restaurant and a 3-story building and da 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 da. And then some days I look back and I'm like, I just want to jump on my adventure bike and get away, because I can't, like, some days I just can't find myself or find my words to want to move on those days. There's still tough days in this industry where you just gotta step out and just like, when you had your casualties, I don't think it's any different. And it's a lot harder for the restaurant industry. We're currently, we missed 3 food trucks this week because they don't have any drivers. So the hatred comes to me, not to them. And I can't be mad at those people, like, because I understand what they're going through firsthand. So I can't really be hating on those people for anything. But when it comes down to it, like, I'm the front guy, and people just want to tell me what they think about, like, the way we're running a restaurant. And I think that's the day-to-day thing that gets me, is like, I'm starting not to care. Just like, I mean, basically, I'm just now telling people, then go. If you don't like what we're doing, like, there's one thing I'll never slack on. Like, I was going to make some shirts for the staff, and it basically was going to say, you're goddamn right, our service sucks, but our food's badass. Like,
yes,
go complain about your service somewhere else, but creating a new dining experience has been my challenge. So taking this huge restaurant and creating a new dining experience is what we're really, really focusing on. So we're just letting, if you're not moving forward in the future in this industry, you're getting drugged behind. There's just something's dragging you. So to me, kind of gone are those days of, like, that front house server or whatever. Like, pick your phone up and punch your order in, and let me get you a badass beer. You know what I mean? Let me send you a badass pizza out. You don't need to talk to someone that doesn't care. That's how I look at it.
It's true, right?
Because honestly, like, the people, some of the, and don't get me wrong, like, I have some of my staff super committed, but the other half of them just, they don't care. And you can tell the ones that are committed, and those are the people that you move in those positions, that you put them in positions where they can stay and operate, like, be a face of your business. But the other ones kind of need just to be like cutting peppers in the back.
Yeah.
It's kind of coming to that. We're really progressing our menu through our point of sale system to just, like, order everything at the table. So when you come in and get sat, you get carded, you get a ID bracelet, which obviously, isn't the end all be all. If they think that you're not 21, we'll ID again. But you can order your beverages, everything, right from your phone to your table. And I'm seeing that my locals that are actually learning this stuff, are going, dude, I can get a beer on Friday night at Rickety Cricket in 2 minutes. I challenge any restaurant to get you someone to talk to you in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Let alone sit down and have a beer in 2 minutes. You know what I mean? So that's really where I'm kind of pushing my industry up here, and it's really hard because we're a little behind times. Being up here in northern Arizona in Kingman. So I just found out there was a Brewers Guild meeting, that the strong beer. I didn't even know the strong beer was going on. I talked to Rob from the Guild a couple of weeks ago, and he's like, "You going in you're going to be in the strong beer?" I'm like, "I don't know anything about it. I haven't seen anything on it." So maybe a little, maybe I've distanced myself so far from like the industry and stuff that I'm just kind of focusing on what we do best, and that's beer and pizza.
And I think that's what matters because, in times of whatever we want to call this pandemic crisis that seems to never end, there's a comfort in that, right? And I think that our idea of convenience should change a little bit because of the challenges in the service industry, as in some people think that they're more likely to be exposed to the virus because they work in a forward-facing position. So it's definitely going to be harder to get people to go in, care, do good service. Mm-hmm. Do you think, Terry, that this is going to be forever, or is it just too difficult to tell? Because I just think it comes back to that point of convenience is changing, because I almost think it's more convenient because I can order the beer at my table without having to wait for someone to come over. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah. And, to get back on that whole, like, is this for now or forever? I think if you're that person waiting to see if this is for now or forever, you're going to get left in the dust, because you got to just keep adapting. Like, you constantly got to adapt. You got to adapt. And the minute you stop adapting and moving forward, my son just took me to a comedy show in Phoenix on the 30th, on day before New Year's Eve. And it was Josh Wolf down there in Tempe. And I got to tell you, like, he made one comment on there, and he's like, "If you don't have my last name, I don't give a shit what you say about me. Like, if we don't share a last name, whatever you say, I don't care." And I was like, I like actually thought about it for a minute, and I was like, man, this guy's so right. Like, this guy's so right that when he said that, because too often do I just sit here and hear when are you going to bring this back? When are you going to bring that back? When are you going to do this? When are you going to? And then you tell them what they don't want to hear. You're like, I'm not bringing it back, and we're not bringing this back. The only thing we're going to do is we're progressively going to move forward, and we're going to make badass products, and we're going to do a few things really good instead of a lot of things really bad.
Yeah, like a bar mat pizza, like the bar mat topping. We're going to work on that. Yeah. I'm obsessed about this now. That just seems like one of the most disgusting things in the world, and I'm going to order it for somebody because it just seems like that kind of move that I would make.
You got to get at a dive bar, though. You know what I mean? If you're really doing it, because theirs are some serious overpouring. Yeah, you'll get a little bit of everything there.
Now the good news is it is alcohol based. So if there is any funky things in it, the alcohol may kill it. So it's fine. Yeah,
but no, Terry from Rickety Cricket is with us, in what you just brought up from the comedian that went to go see was fantastic, because as you're a parent, I'm a parent as well. So I've got a 16 and a 14-year-old, and to ingrain that one thought into them, I think is life-changing. Is just, if you don't share a last name with me, I don't care what you think. There's no reason for me to put any stock, any time, any investment into any emotional equity into something that you're not going to be around. My family will always be around. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I really I took kind-heartedly to those words, and I'm trying to use it in a day-to-day, because like sometimes you hear these things, but that guy, Josh Wolf, he was being straight up at that point. Like, it was like a conversation, right? Because he was just talking to the audience, and there was no joking aside. Like, that was a serious statement he was making, and I really took a lot of heart to it. So I think just bringing passion every day. You really are who your staff sees you are in your industry or whatever. It's really who you are, like, as a person. So be kind-hearted to people, but at the same token, like, I'm really done putting up with people's nonsense when it comes to all the hatred and the negative reviews, and they took their burgers off, and what is this guy doing? Oh my God. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. So we got another beer. We got another beer coming out too that we're entering into World Beer Cup.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Which is
it's called Antonio Blonderis.
I assume it's a blonde.
Yeah, there you go. I think Rob uses context clues on that one. So we had we actually had, I'm from Southern California, in Mission Viejo. They actually, by the way, I passed the test and escaped. There's an actual intersection, Antonio and Banderas. Like there's a Banderas Street and an Antonio Street.
Oh, wow.
Mission Viejo. And it was lost on everybody that I drove by, that I'm like, do you just understand we're stopped at this light? Do you see the intersection we're on? They're like, I don't get it. I'm like, you guys are just, your comedy is, my comedy's lost on you. Yeah. Terry, we get each other, man.
Yeah. Antonio Blonderis is coming out.
That's awesome. So
we're going to try and push some of these names. I'm talking to, so right now we're distributing in Phoenix through RNDC. And I basically think, putting some of these new products out to market in the Phoenix world. I think there's some bar owners like me that might relate to girl farts, you know what I mean? And they're like, you know what? Fuck it. I got to have that on my menu just to stir up the crowd a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely, it's like you said, it's going back to the pizzas, right? And the names, just the tip, dildo. You definitely, because we were sitting at the bar with this couple from Vegas. And that's how we connected with them. We were just laughing because of the pizza names. And when we ordered ours, Terry made us say it out loud. He goes, we got a dildo. Get the dildo in the oven. And it's just sounds hilarious because you feel free in that moment, right? Which is exactly what this country is. So you got the American flag, the thin blue line behind you, as we mentioned before, former state trooper. No one speaks more freely than a cop. Like one of my best friends is a New York City cop, retired. He speaks freely. But I like that because that's what this whole country was built upon. And really, it was built in taverns and bars where you would just go and you would have conversations and you would hang out and you would laugh at inappropriate things because we all need to laugh at inappropriate things. So you mentioned Josh Wolf. I went to go see Daniel Tosh a few years ago, and he made a 9/11 joke. And I know I shouldn't have laughed, but it was hilarious. So I laughed. It's okay, and it still can be okay if we get over our sort of moral righteousness, I think, and say, maybe put it aside for 5 minutes. Go at Rickety Cricket in Kingman and have a beer. Like that's what I think stood out to me in the tap room in Kingman.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'll invite you up for a new opening of our beer garden, but they're plowing right now. They're bulldozing the parking lot next to us, and we're putting a huge 12,000 square foot beer garden outside. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be
there. You go again. There you go again. Right when you're like, okay, I'm gonna do something crazy. I think we all are crazy. I think that just answered that. I'm gonna do a 12,000 square foot beer garden.
Yeah.
Just because. Now in Kingman, Terry, with Rickety Cricket, are you the only game in town? I don't know Kingman except I drive through it to get to Vegas. Who else is up there with you?
So directly down the street, we have a Blackbridge Brewery. They're on Beale Street, and then, just a short jaunt away in Lake Havasu. I mean, you got College Street Brewing. So Jason Hillard and the crew over at College Street Brewing. Hangar 24 is a tap room there. Right. Scott at Mudshark Brewing is there. And you can never forget Keith and the guys at Barley Brothers. I mean, Keith's been brewing. God, I think he brewed Jesus Christ first milk stout. But I think so. And the cool part is like I have a great working relationship with all these guys, and it's just what it needs to be about. You can pick the phone up and call them, and at any time they're just like, "What do you need?" Or "We're here for you. Let's do this. Let's do that." There's a short time where my guys at College Street, one of their systems went down, and I was in a position to just help them, and it was that fast, where Jason just had to pick the phone up. He's like, "Bro, I need some help." Like Blue Van is it's big, it's huge, it's in the Phoenix market, it's everywhere, everyone's drinking it. In one of those systems like that goes down, I mean, that could be detrimental to a business like that. So, we're here to pick each other up. So if they need some equipment or whatever, we got you. So
And that's what I was getting. Essentially, that's what I was leading to. Is it the same as it is down here? Because it was something that surprised Rob and I when we got into this industry, that in coming from the media industry, where you're always looking over your shoulder, like, okay, who's up next? Who's trying to get my job? Who's, you know, everybody's going to smile right in front of your face. It's a different deal when you turn your back. But in the craft beer industry, everyone seems to get along. Excuse me. There are some exceptions, and they all know the exceptions, and they talk about them like this. So, but there are, for the most part, everyone wants to help each other. Everyone wants to communicate, and it's just it's inspiring. It's such a little micro example of what we should be as a nation.
Yeah, and you know what? To hit home that point, you know, I mean, some of that comes down to pride or like whatever. You know, I kind of just, you got to learn to check that stuff at the door, like. These people aren't calling and going, "Hey man, what's your recipe?" Right? They're like, "I need your recipe to your IPA." They're going, "Hey, what are you doing? What are you trying? Like, how's your hop addition looking? What yeast are you using? What are you trying in this?" Like, those are the things. Like, I could give you a same beer recipe and it's going to come out totally different because you're going to fuck it up. You know what I mean? And that's just the nature of the beast. I could take a recipe and make it, and it's not going to come out the same. So you got to have those notes from these brewers that are doing that stuff, and I don't feel like the industry's even that, but you know, there's more of that sense I see, like, oh man, you brewed an IPA, you're a copycat. It's like, come on, bro. Like, IPAs have been forever. You know, we've been brewing forever. A few things we're getting ready to really get jamming on is like hoppy lagers. I'm really jumping on the getting some hoppy lagers coming out.
Huge fan.
So we're looking at some of that stuff releasing this year, and hopefully we'll get some more Phoenix stuff going on. But once I can get this restaurant kind of dialed down, because I mean, you take a 300-seat restaurant and open it to close and still do all the beer brewing, and like my wife's in here running the show and she's doing what she can do, and my son just graduated college. He's up here helping bartend because we don't have any bartenders. It's we're in a town of 30,000 people, and usually people just know Kingman. They're like, oh, cool, Wendy's. We get off the exit to go to Vegas, and I go to Wendy's and I take a leak and I get a freaking burger. Like, well, make a left and come downtown and come see the Rickety Cricket, because it's the same exit. You know, you come down and score that left-hand turn. You're going to be right at the Rickety Cricket, a mile down on your right-hand side and right up in the business. So,
do you find that that's kind of Kingman's sort of, it's like a crossroads, right? It's kind of that, you know, people coming from Vegas to Phoenix, people going from Phoenix to Vegas.
Yeah.
Are you getting more traffic off of I-40 or whatever to stop in? Because, why? You can get Wendy's anywhere. You can get Rickety Cricket right there and right there only.
Right. And I think the more popular this, you know, the craft brewing industry becomes, the more likely people are to like actually search for places like me and find out where the local breweries are, because they want that change in product. They have a favorite IPA that they drink at their local brewery right around the corner from their house in Phoenix, because there's a lot of breweries in Phoenix. But now what we're seeing is like, so when my wife and I built this restaurant and did the logistics, there's 10 million people in a day's drive of Kingman. I mean, within 1 day's drive, there's 10 million people. So at any time, you can be coming anywhere from Santa Barbara south, Albuquerque west, and you're coming through Kingman, through Vegas, from Phoenix to Vegas, Vegas to Phoenix, to the Grand Canyon back. It's a huge stomping ground. You know what I mean? So that's why the restaurant was at one time so big. And now, just with staffing problems, we're having a hard time filling it. But to answer your other question, will it come back? It's ultimately going to have to, because people are going to stop just not wanting to go do things. But you still gotta keep moving chess pieces every day. You gotta move chess pieces, and if you just don't, you're gonna get checkmated and you're done. You know what I mean? So you see these places that are going under or not, that are failing, like they just sent all their pawns out and got checkmated real quick, and they didn't move any other pieces off the board. That's kind of how I relate the industry right now. Like, I'm constantly just every day, what do we got to do? Like, what's the day going to bring? And just gear up for it. So Yeah.
Restaurateur in Business 101, 202, and 303, and even the master's course are not taught, I'm assuming, in the academy to become a state trooper.
No.
So where in the world did you find the success? Was it mentorship? Was it just trial and error? Did you get your ass kicked? What was it?
I basically, I grew up kind of as a traveling gypsy. Like until I was 12 years old, I didn't even have a house. Like I lived in an Airstream trailer chasing construction jobs with my dad and my mom and my sister. And wherever we were, I had to learn to make friends fast. I had to learn how to digest systems really fast, like how to just blend in really fast, right? So it was like that my whole life, like from, the early ages when these minds are developing. Mine was spent moving and going, hey, you're not going to know me in 4 months, but I'm going to know everything about you I can in 4 months because I'm going to kindle this friendship. You know what I mean? So until I was 12 and we landed in Kingman, my dad basically dropped the family off here and he's like, your sister's in high school and you guys are going to school here. And that's it. And that's how we landed here. They stopped for coffee and he went down to Phoenix and started welding on bridges and that kind of stuff. And I was kind of left behind because I'm like, you don't need your right hand man no more or what? You know what I mean? Because, it was always me. And to get back on that question about how did I learn the restaurant industry, I think it was that. I think it was that whole you got to digest it fast. You got to learn it. You got to know it, and you got to ask a lot of goddamn questions. Like you can't come in as a know-it-all. Like I don't know everything. Trust me, but if I don't know something, man, I'm calling. Like I'm constantly networking. If I want to do it broad, if I want to do like something like what you guys are doing and do this like podcast or whatever, I'm gonna be like, dude, what kind of equipment you got? What are you using? What are you hooking it to? How's it look? How's that speaker work? How many pairs of headphones have you gone through before you found that set that you like, Rob? Because I know that's not the only pair you have hanging, because you probably went through a few pairs and you don't like them. You know what I mean? I'm finding out that, and then I'm just going to jump right to Rob's headphones that Rob has, and I'm going, okay, this is my starting point. I'm going to learn from here. So no different in the industry. Like, there was always that question, like, how do restaurants, and I'll ask this to you guys, but how do restaurants put the cost on their menu? Do you guys know?
No.
Do you guys know how they come up with it?
No idea.
Okay, but it's probably something you go, why is this burger $16 and this one's like 99 cents, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Right? I mean, that's a question, because you're like, okay, I can go to my local tavern and I can go, hey, this burger's $15 at my local brewery. This pizza's $20. How do they come about it? Well, I mean, the math is there. You just gotta weigh your ingredients. You gotta find out how much each ingredient comes down to the ounce, which I was really good at grams and ounces, because when I got out of the highway patrol, I was in narcotics. So I was really good at teeners and, 8 balls and knowing all my grams and ounces and all my weights. So that stuff kind of came naturally. But when it comes down to it, you weigh your burger patty, you cost it out. You put your labor into that. You put the time it takes to put the burger patty together. You come up with a resolved burger price. It costs you $5 to make the burger. You need to be a certain percentage. You sell it at that. And too many people don't really do that digestion. They just give it a price, and then they wonder why they might be out of business the next year or whatever. But you got to stick to those prices. You got to stick to those guns, because if you start getting, too much labor above your food cost, you're ultimately going to drown yourself. And that's kind of what I had to jump into,
It's a good thing you have that narcotics training to be able to do all of that.
I know.
And wait, just so we're clarifying, it was legal narcotics training. Okay, yeah.
Well, I mean, he was the police
on the right
officer.
side. Yeah, okay, just throwing it out there.
Now, this is one of the things. So, and this is what I love, about going. So, Amy and I go in to Rickety Cricket, and Terry's pouring beers. At that moment, we didn't know he was the owner, but he's there pouring beers, and he's having a conversation. I think Amy asked him, "Are you the owner?" And he's like, "Yeah, well, yeah, I am." And you're like, wow, the owner's here pouring beers on a Wednesday afternoon. But that just opened up so many things simply by asking questions and saying hi and conversing. And one of the things that you talked about was the challenges of being a state trooper in Kingman, because you have to patrol a lot of land. And you told us that occasionally if you needed backup, it might be 90 minutes away. And I'm just thinking about that from a me standpoint and imagining being a police officer and you're all by yourself on your entire shift. And you're like, hey, I need somebody. Okay, I'll be there and do the math. I'll be there in 80 minutes. So what is that like? And how did that shape how you approach your businesses now, Terry? Because I don't think many people can relate to that in that capacity.
Yeah. And, to get back on that, like, obviously I was trained, through a law enforcement academy. And then on the highway patrol side, you go to an auxiliary academy, but your mindset is trained to protect yourself. So those officers you see because I know you drive through the middle of the desert and you're like, oh my God, there is one officer out here and he's got a car pulled over. And most people will be like, I'd never do that. I'd never stop a car out there in the middle. Like, what if? Their mind, it's a warrior mindset when you're out there. These guys are all warriors, the men and women out there. They're warriors out there on the road. I assure you, like, the last person you want to get yourself involved with is a state trooper along the highway, because you're going to get your ass kicked. You know what I mean? They're going to go home at night. And that's the ultimate objective. When I was an officer is we're going home and you're not, if that's the case. Like, if it comes down to me, are you going home? I'm going home, not you. So if someone was to put someone in an incident like that, but what it has trained me to do is it's given me much more of a level head in my restaurant industry. Like, just this last Sunday, we had a belligerent customer. The old, highway patrol Terry guy would have kicked this guy's ass if he touched me. You know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna touch me. You know what I mean? You're gonna stay away from me. But this guy physically pushed me through my door, and it was just my training that I had, through law enforcement, that made me keep my cool to just, handle the situation without even laying a hand on the gentleman. Because our job's not that. These officers aren't out there to hurt anybody. They're out there to protect themselves. They're trained to protect themselves in the event that you do something that's going to require them to protect themselves. So, I mean, moving this into the restaurant industry, it was just a lot of level-headedness. I think at first it was really tough because I had a zero line. Like I had a zero line. You cross my line, you're done. Like, you're fired. I'm not even messing with you. So it's taken years, it's taken years to adjust that line in the restaurant industry, because I have to remember who I'm dealing with. I'm not dealing with, a bunch of accountants and bankers that are in here, and law degree people that, follow the rules or whatever. I'm dealing with people that half-heartedly want to come to work on a daily basis, or are still adults making bad decisions, getting drunk the night before they go to work, and like, hey, and the service industry is horrible for this. They know the words, hey, I'm throwing up. You say that to a boss, they're like, you mother, like, because you can't come to work, right? You're throwing up.
Yep.
You can't come to work. So now I just interrogate them and get them to admit they were drinking, and then that's how they miss their shift.
There you go.
But yeah, I think it's more left a lot of balance, like how I actually talk to people and respond to people.
95% of me is super impressed with that. 5% of me is disappointed it's not Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse. It really is just there's a part of me, sending that guy through the window or something like that would have been something I would have liked to have seen. But let's talk about this. We're dealing with Terry at Rickety Cricket. We're dealing with we have Terry joining us with Rickety Cricket, and we're dealing with it too. But let's talk about making. Let's talk about the process of making beer. Your wife is working on something she's calling girl farts, for the love of grief. Yeah. And all of the classic names are fantastic. Let's talk about the creation side of the brewing and pizza together.
Yeah. Basically, I'm the curator of most of the recipes. My wife and I will kindle some nice concepts together and run them off each other. And for majority of the time, though, like all the actual brewing is me. I have a crew that works behind me. Rob got to meet some of them. Nick and Dan that were in there. Those guys are literally, if you had two right hands, I'd have two right hand guys. These guys at any time can jump in, jump out of rolls. If I got to jump off the deck of the brew house, Nick will jump on. Dan will move to Nick's spot. it's kind of this crazy dance we do. But basically, once you start the process, you move, like, you don't leave it. So there's just lots of science that goes into it to make a good product. And that's where a lot of this craft has got its name, you know, from these brewers at these places. And I tell you, some of my favorite brewers right now. I mean, Jason Goldstein, he lives in New Jersey, and I mean, this guy, if you want to have like a New England hazy, and this is what I'm saying, like, I'll grab onto these guys and be like, dude, what did you do to this thing? You know what I mean? Because I'm not the know-it-all. Like, I'm seriously not. I can work my way through my deck. I can work my way through my brew. I'm not going to stand up here in front on any radio show and be like, oh, I'm a head brewmaster. I'm not. Like, I can brew. I have fun doing it. I'm good at it. But there's so much to learn from it, and there's so many guys to learn from. You know, Chad Henderson at Noda Brewing in North Carolina. I mean, these guys are just out of this world, you know, brewmasters. And then you talk to them and they're as humble as the next guy, and they're like, oh, I don't know anything, but I'll tell you what I know. You know what I mean? I'll tell you what I know. I'll tell you what I'm doing. So I've been able to really shake up some concepts, because I had a lot of questions on these hoppy lagers and that kind of stuff, because it's not a trend you're seeing in Arizona right now. Mm-hmm. You're not seeing hoppy lagers. It's coming this way because Rickety Cricket's going to throw some on the map here. But nice. It's just this. It's this thing that you just got to be able to talk to people. And I feel like the whole grain to glass thing. Yeah, you know, if you ask me what I do on a daily basis as the head brewer at Rickety Cricket, dude, I'm 99% janitorial. Like, yeah, it's 99% janitorial. Like, I've done my science. I've played with my chemistry set, and I know what I'm going to make. And once I launch that, it's just start the process. Like, there's no more to it. You do all your homework. You put your recipe together. You know what it's visually going to look like. You know what it's like mentally going to smell and taste like. And you just rip at it. And if it works, it works. So a lot of questions people ask me, like, hey, have you ever dumped a batch? And I haven't dumped a batch. I've never brewed a batch that I've actually went like, oh, this is shit, and dumped it. Like, and that's on the commercial side. Now on my home brewing side, I think I dumped more batches starting out than I even, than I fermented. But yeah, so that whole idea of grain to glass. And then I think the next biggest thing that I've really learned, being as a restaurateur, is like, trust the people that work for you. Like, let them make the decisions. You know what I mean? Coach them, help them through what your vision is. And then if they got ideas, just trust it. You know what I mean? Some of the cool pizza concepts Nick and Dan made, like Just the Tip was Nick and Dan. That Wizard Stick beer that Nick brewed, that was his first beer by himself. And, I coached him and helped him through the recipe development, because not a lot of brewers do understand like recipe development when they're just getting started. And he's kind of at that stage where he's learning recipe development and that kind of stuff. So I just kind of gave him some coaching, and he took it from there. And I stood on the deck with him, and I pushed no buttons, and I said nothing. Like, I gave him a few suggestions on ways to do a few things differently. But, there's that million ways to skin a cat thing, and it's no different in the brewing industry, really. So I take that same passion into the kitchen when I'm making food, just like balls on you. You know what I mean? Balls on you coming. I'm messing around. I'm messing around with some. I'm messing around with some macaroni and cheese through my pizza oven, right? Because you got to kind of scale your kitchens as to what your staff's capable of doing. So I always use this as an example. Like, some lady will come in and she'll be like, "Dude, why don't you have corn dogs on your menu?" I'm like, "Because I'm a fucking pizzeria. That's why I don't have corn dogs on my menu." Because I make pizza.
Who says that? Who goes to any restaurant and says, "Why don't you have corn dogs?" As if that's a thing.
So it's like, what you should do is this. So, but what you need to do is you need to just trust that your staff is doing it, and try not to like totally, pick them apart, or and trust me, I'm very precise on the way we do things, and I portray that to my staff. But I train them the way I want to train them, and then if they start getting out of line, then I'll I'll change it. I'll change your comment. So I use this in reference. Like one of my new guys, he started just throwing, like, got lazy. Like we cook the bacon and then we tear the bacon up, right? So you get a little bacon on your pizza. This new kid, he starts like just putting full pieces of bacon on the pizza. I'm like, so I'll use like the chain of command, right? And I'll go to one of my lead cooks and I'll be like, hey, when did we start putting just full pieces of bacon on pizza? Oh, well, we don't. I go, well, we are. So I'm like, you guys fix that and let's get it back dialed in so we know all the bacon looks the same when people come in, and it's fixed. That's all it took. It didn't take no screaming and yelling and throwing. It's not like Chef Ramsay thing. It's really not. Like there's none of that stuff. It's just however much passion you have, bring it into your day and try and leave some time if you can for family at night. I think that's like the biggest balance right now. So I like that Mike does adventure stuff. Like, so I ride adventure motorcycles. It's a new sport of mine I got into.
Really?
I love it. Have you done it?
What is adventure?
No. I have I'm 2 brain surgeries in. Last thing I'm going to do is get on a motorcycle.
We need to get him.
Last thing is adventure motorcycles.
Baseball's helmet, if we want to put him on one of those, is what would set.
Yeah,
Lord helmet.
Yeah.
So it's those guys you see that look like spacesuits, like driving by you, and they got a bunch of boxes on their BMW bike, right?
Oh yeah.
And you're like, where is that guy going? I'll tell you where he's going. He's going to the Continental Divide, or he's taking a back road discovery route over the mountains through Arizona. He's going in places that you normally don't take motorcycles, like for challenges. He's camping in the wilderness. He's doing all that stuff. So I kind of like this whole, like, Mike's doing this outdoor camping thing, because I got some cool suggestions for you for like these guys that are riding these bikes for camping gear that I'm playing with to have a nice camp when you set up, carry things light, that kind of stuff. So
it's essentially overlanding on a motorcycle.
That's it.
Okay, got it. Okay, yeah. Oh, wow, that's Okay, because when you're talking about adventure, I'm thinking like Red Bull jumping off of this cliff into the next one, and I'm like, no. If I could do an adventure trike, I'm all about it.
Where's your adventures taken you so far?
So next week I'm going to head to for another phase of training at the BMW North America BMW training facility in Castaic, California. Nice. So I've already gone before, and then I'm going to do some camping up and down the Highway 1, like in Malibu. We're going to camp in Malibu, and then I'm either going by myself or a buddy's going with me. He doesn't know if he's going yet. If not, I'm just going by myself. But I'll go to Castaic, and then we're going to take a 2-day ride, and then supposed to be doing the south the Mexico trip down all the way down Baja, Mexico, and then in July is the it's the Continental Divide up to Helena, Montana, and the Canadian border from all the way down south. Yeah. So
what is the benefit? What do you get out of doing that? Is it just time for yourself, and you just kind of think? Because I was watching the show the other day, and one of the characters is drinking at the bar, and he's by himself, and he's thinking about things. A couple people come over and talk to me. He goes, "I'm busy," and I was like, "What a great way to say I'm busy. I'm by myself. I'm thinking about things," because that's something that's new to me. I've always been extroverted, but the pandemic has taught me to be introverted, and I like it. I like spending time with myself. In other words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that sounds like a name of a new pizza. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Spend it. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Now we're naming pizzas for you, Terry.
Yeah, you need to get a I think really like what it's doing for me mentally is like it kind of shuts off everything outside, because when you're riding a motorcycle, there's so many reactions firing, like especially if you're off road. You're looking at contours ahead. You're looking at turns. You're just looking ahead. It forces you to shut all the other stuff off. So like when I'm out there on my bike, like I'm not thinking about like who's on my payroll right now, or thinking about like what's the store doing. I'm like, I got to get from here to here, and then I got to get a camp set up, or I got to get this done, or whatever. And I think it's something I never done before, so I'm kind of new to it. And I'm really trying to figure it out, like what it really is. We're going to convert some of that like into our Jeep with my wife, because she doesn't ride motorcycles. So I'm going to, convert some of that into like overland stuff with Jeeps, and like some of those tents on top, and get more into this stuff to get away. And because what I'm really finding is like the only people that really care about my restaurant is me and my wife. Like that's really at the end of the day, like if I said, dude, Rickety Cricket closed down, it's not there anymore, you guys would be like, oh shit, that sucks. And then like, what are we eating for lunch? Like we're going to go somewhere else.
We're going to Wendy's.
And that would be the end of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
It would kind of be like, there's nothing else. No one else can do anything for you. So I'm trying to just set this thing up to where like there's more people that really see what we do for the community, see what we're doing in the community, and just making it so it's like it's just balanced, like the store's balanced, and we can get our day-to-day stuff done. Yeah.
I want to have you on the show. I want to have you on the outdoor show after you get back from that BMW class. I want to learn all about that. I want to know I'll let you pay for it and go to it, and then you can tell me all about
it. Yeah. And you do. I mean, you pay, I mean, it's a $2,500 weekend to go to that thing, but, I'm always that guy to take classes, right? Like I always have been. If you want to learn how to bake or you want to learn how to draw trees, I mean, we had the fucking world's famous tree drawer when we were kids growing up. You know what I mean? We'd turn on the public news station and there's Bob Ross drawing trees, right? So you'd sit there with a pen and you're 7 years old and you're trying to draw a goddamn tree and he's painting, right? And I think it's no different now. You just got to take classes. You just got to expand your horizons. And these instructors at this BMW facility, I mean, they're some of the top riders in the world.
Wow.
And you're learning straight from these guys that know first knowledge, like how to control a 600-pound bike through stuff that you shouldn't be taking a bike through, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
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 But I think it seems consistent in this hour conversation that we've had with you, Terry, so far is you're pushing yourself. So state trooper, but even moving as a kid, right? And learning skills and how to adapt to that and being at a different place every 4 months to being a state trooper, to getting injured on the job, to saying, you know what? I'm going to open a brewery and I'm going to open a restaurant and I'm going to go adventure bike riding and not only just open the restaurant and let it sit there, we're going to expand the restaurant. And one of the things too, we found out when we were up there, Mike, about Terry is in buying the parking lot to expand and do the beer garden at Rickety Cricket. It came with a coffee shop. That he was like, I don't want the coffee shop. It's like, nope, it's all included. It's like, fine, I own a coffee shop. So it's now you're adapting to try to figure out, okay, what are the intricacies of owning a coffee shop? So you're doing all of these things. That's like a fulfilling human life. And that's really what it comes down to, at least from my point of view.
So, I mean, coffee shop's no different. I went to a master barista class because I'm like, I don't think that this coffee shop should be making coffee with Bun coffee warmers from Walmart. Like there's got to be there's got to be some kind of commercial equipment because, I threw myself into something that I knew nothing about. And now, we're 5 stars on Yelp and 5 stars on TripAdvisor and everyone's packing in the coffee shop because Terry makes badass coffee, in that next venture, like I'm starting my roasting stuff. Like I'm starting to roast and learn bean roasting, but it goes right hand in hand with brewing because it's all time sensitive. It's heat and time and absorption and this and that. So, it just goes hand in hand. So I'm learning to roast and, I got my roasting company coming out and we're going to start roasting coffee beans, like right next to the brewery. It's going to be kick ass.
I'm assuming that one of the coffee styles is called Once You Go Black. It's an assumption.
Oh boy.
It's an assumption, knowing you and where you went with all of this.
We actually got one we're coming out. It's called She Likes the Dark Wheat. It's a dark wheat beer.
A dark wheat beer?
Wow.
Okay, talk to me because
she likes the dark wheat.
Yeah, I've beaten up Michael from Mother Road about Lost Highway. I've beaten up Brian Helton about his black IPA because no one's making this stuff anymore. Do you have any plans to? I will move to Kingman if you pull off a black IPA. I'm telling you, I just want one.
Kingman get his 30,000 in first resident. Mike Russell and his family moved there so we can get black IPAs.
Yes.
Yeah, I actually did a black IPA, ginger root black IPA with Szechuan pepper in it, with ginger root, and it was like a perfect. It was a perfect complement to like a sushi bar with a craft beer or whatever. You know what I mean? Like this Szechuan black pepper with a ginger root. Again, you just like you your mind's just turning. You're like, dude, what's gonna, and it was a collaboration of like some beers that I had tasted at the Great American Beer Festival. Like, what if this and that was mixed? Like, what if this pepper beer and this ginger beer were mixed? We had a black pepper beer, like black pepper ginger beer. So I made one of those. It was fire. It sold well, and we kind of make stuff and just send it out, and then make something else. So I'm not really that taproom guy that you're just going to come in and I got like the same freaking 8 beers on like day in, day out. Like I'll have the same like house IPA or Anaconda Squeeze house IPA, but I'll be your Huckleberry, our new hazy Huckleberry IPA. That's going to be hitting Phoenix here soon.
Yeah,
good.
That thing should be a crowd pleaser. I mean, it's a badass beer.
It really is. I had it when I was there because it was Huckleberry. I'm like, who puts Huckleberry in an IPA? Let's try this.
But you're talking about taproom, you're not going to get the same old stuff. But there is at least a mild rule of distributorship that you do have to have some staples. And do you have those? How did those get there? And are you thinking of, well, that's just boring, I want to change it?
Yeah, I always like, this is boring, I'm changing it. I'm always just kind of I want people to relate to my brand for the brand, and just like these beers are good and not like just one beer. Like, you can go to a brewery and have a beer and then you taste the rest of them and you might be like, these all suck. Like, I just like this one beer. And I'm sure there's been breweries you've been to that were like that. But I really like to pride myself on going, if I'm brewing a style, like it's going to be the style. And you're naturally just going to be like, dude, it's not my style, but I like it. Like, it's good. It tastes right. And just keep pushing that envelope with systems like that, where whatever we throw out there, we just want people to know that Rickety Cricket is handcrafted products,
and authentic. And I think that's the part. That's one of the main takeaways I have with talking with you, Terry, is just that there is a hesitation that most people have in being their authentic selves, including me, because you think you're supposed to fit in, right? And you can only do it this way, or your family wants you to be this kind of person, or your boss wants you to be this kind of person. You walk into Rickety Cricket and you feel that sort of that attitude right away. And, you just know what you get. Where now that I think about all the different breweries Mike and I have been to together separately, they all have a vibe, right? And that's what's fun about breweries. Like, I remember going to the small brewery in Idaho. Then I was just driving through. We're doing a tour. I'd never been to Idaho, and I wanted to drive through Idaho, and there happened to be a brewery in this town. I think the town was Victor, Idaho. And I remember walking in, and this is a town, I think it's like 2,000 people, but this place was busy. And they had pizza too, and it was fun to go sit in there and hang around with some people that live in and around Victor, Idaho. And it was a fun vibe. But there are some that are incredibly pretentious. Yeah. And you have this mix of all humanity in breweries. And that's what, getting back to the authenticity of it. And if people don't like you for being your authentic self, okay, other people do like me. It's going to be fine. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's the 80-20 rule. Like, piss off 20% of people, 80% of people like you. Like, it just,
I like that.
I just have found like the 80-20 rule in business is just kind of what you got to live by, because you're going to have your natural haters. You know what I mean? You just are, like, everyone does. They're just like, man, I don't like Mike. He freaking 2 brain surgeries and the guy can't even barely talk, whatever. People are just naturally just not going to like people. It's kind of weird to even say that, but you just win 80% of people, like, you're good. And then you just remember, like, on my last name, like, Josh Wolf said, it's like, dude, I don't even care. Give a shit anymore. Right. I don't care. That's it. I don't care. Too many people are trying to make everyone happy. And I use this for reference because last night I was like, you guys ever been to Pizza Port?
Yep.
In San Diego? So
that's where I had Pliny the Elder there for the first time. And dang, that was a good beer.
Yeah, they're selling it, right? It's more readily available up and down the south coast.
Yeah.
Down the coast. But so Vince and Gina that own Pizza Port, like, you go there with an expectation that, dude, you got to stand in line to get a pizza, right? You got to stand in line to get another beer. And you think they care? They don't give a shit, because there's a line out the door, right? Like, they're not trying to hustle like a bunch of people to hire them to wait at their tables. It's the perfect business model. Like, it wasn't the perfect business model probably when they came up with it. They stuck to it, right? And it probably wasn't in most people's minds like, dude, it's weird. You got to go stand in line and get your own shit. But I'm going to it. Like, we're slowly progressing to that stuff. And I use them as a model because they've mastered that model. It's almost like you got to be semi like stoned or whatever. Like when you're at Dutch Brothers, like when you go to Dutch Brothers Coffee or whatever, and you're like talking models and you're like, did you just smoke a total bowl, or are you just super like, because like, what are you doing today, bro? Well, it's a model, right? If you look at it, every Dutch Brothers has that same model. And what they're doing is they're capturing your time. They're making you feel like your coffee's coming out really fast by capturing your time, talking to you at the window. It's no different. Like, or you can stare out a window and stare at your phone and be like, I'm just going to get coffee. But you got this nice person hanging out the window, and we love our people here at Dutch Brothers, but it's almost like it's thought like, man, what are you doing today? And then that's a model, apparently.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is what people don't understand. It's like these little implementations are out there to drive traffic back, and it's the same in all these restaurants you go to. You know what I mean? If I just say Tilt to Kill, you know what you're getting ready to go see. Yep. You know what I mean? You know what the staff's going to look like when you go to a Tilt to Kill. You just know. And it's
you
no
hope
different right now.
In many cases, you hope.
Yeah. You hope. But going in the Dirty Dough now, I want people to just be like, dude, you go to the Rickety Cricket tap room, you know the expectation. Like, it's going to be filthy. It's going to be nasty, but you're going to get badass food. So that's the whole point of it.
Now, you said your son graduated from college, now bartending for you. My son at 14 told me that he said, I want to be in radio like dad. And I couldn't yell the word no fast enough or loud enough. What would you tell your son? He said, I want to go into the brewery business. I want to have a restaurant. Why would you tell him not to?
Well, right now, like, he just graduated from University of Arizona with a minor in law. He's going to law school, but he doesn't want to do it. Like, he sees what this does to his parents. Like, and I tell anybody out there right now, like, if you have an ability to go somewhere and do something that is going to make you happy or not, like, I can assure you, we've seen it this weekend. Like, you see an NFL player walk off the field, right? Mm-hmm. So that Antonio Brown guy, right?
Yeah.
Us sitting on a couch watching this happen, it's no different than me owning a brewery or you being a radio host. You have your good days and bad days, and you're like, screw this. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. It doesn't matter what the circumstances, and it doesn't matter what your business you're into is. It just doesn't. It's like you in the moment, and whatever passion you share for that particular thing you're doing just expired, and you're done. So I have friends in law that are like, oh, don't do it. You know, like, he's gonna hate it. And I'm like, let him figure that out. Yeah. You know what I mean? Hopefully he can grab some passion and do it. And for your son going into radio, like, that wants to go into radio, like, he's young and his mind is moldable right now. And maybe he finds something, you know, that he's getting into right now that you're like, hey, this, and this, these options are out there. And like, if I had it all over to do again, I would do this. Because if you ask me if I had it all over to do again, like, that's what would you do this? And I gotta honestly say, like, I don't think I would.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't. I don't think I'd do it to the scale that I have this. Like, if I did it, it'd be like almost like 1,000 square foot building with 5 seats in it. And when Terry wants to go on a ride, he does. And not trying to, you know, have 40 employees at my store, because I'm responsible for the food on the table. You know, my mind and my business sense is responsible for that. And I purposely bring this up, like, you know, there's big political debates in the world today and this and that. Like, I just didn't let my staff bring political stuff in. Like, I didn't let them wear their, you know, their supporting hats or whatever, because I don't feel that's part of my restaurant business. Like, talking shit is part of it. But at the end of the day, I'm like, whatever your political stance is, I really don't freaking care. Like, eat my pizza and drink my beer.
Because, right. And if you guys want to talk about it while eating my pizza and drinking the beer in the spot, okay. But
that's what those people talk about. Like, you know what I mean? Like Democrats, Republicans, Independents, they eat pizza and drink beer just like everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So if they can come into my place and there's no political view or anything, like, I leave that out of everything. I mean, yeah, it's not hidden that I was a former Arizona State Trooper. That's not, I don't hide it. I'm proud of what I did, and I'm proud of the support that I, was able to give to the residents of Arizona, and I put my life on the line to do this stuff. But I just ask, like a lot of these restaurant owners, leave your political beliefs out of your freaking restaurants. And there's no room for it. Focus on what you do best. Find 3 things you do best and stick at it.
Perfect advice. So point is, next time you go to Vegas, if you're from Phoenix, or you're coming from Vegas, or you're in Santa Barbara and you're driving on Route 66, make sure you make a point to go see Terry, go see Rickety Cricket, because you're going to really, really, really enjoy it. And if you're a sensitive person, you're probably not listening to the Brewmance anyways. But if you are a sensitive person, really, before you got going, I just can't believe the pizza's named Dildo. Just don't go in. Just call it a day and say it's just not for me.
Wendy's is for you, dude. Yeah, Wendy's is for you if you want.
Wendy's. Yeah.
Wendy's right down the road. And if square hamburgers freak you out, then you're just not long for this world. So something's going to offend you at all times. Can we talk about this beer real quick? I want to talk about aiming oil because this is our beer of the week. And I definitely want to talk about aiming oil because, once again, I thought it was like a sight lube kind of vibe. Oh yeah, Rob, don't think you're cool flexing on me, dude. I did too already as well. But this turned out to be a golfing thing. I just love the can. Rob will tell you this. I'm a big art kind of fan, not like, oh, that's on the wall. I like beer can art. I gravitate towards it, and I immediately gravitate towards this. I picked it up and it said Rickety Cricket on the bottom. Holy cow. All right, good. It all worked out. This is a fantastic day beer. This is a barbecue beer. This is a light beer. It's crushable. It's fantastic. I really know I'm geeking out about it, but this now is in, I would say, my triad of crushables. And this is entered it. This is one of the top 3 that I will go for if I can find it and get it. I'm going to have this at a barbecue. I'm going to have this if I'm golfing. I'm going to have this if I'm just out with buddies, whatever it is. This is a great day beer. You did a great job. 9 all day. Fantastic, man. Fantastic beer.
Yeah. So the goal for aiming oil here in the upcoming future is get it at those golf courses, right? So change the craft. So a lot of golf is changing. So my daughter's looking at scholarship for golf. I mean, she's 17 years old. She drives a golf ball 300 yards. I can't.
I'm not playing with her. Nope, not gonna happen.
A quick side note: I went golfing out with her the other day. I needed a can of aiming oil because T-box won. She's like, "Dad, let's just go out. We don't need to warm up. We're members at the local golf course." I usually go out, just drop balls for her, put her in places where she has to make pars behind trees, whatever. So I'm like, I'll tee off. Well, I teed off into like this old guy's house, right? Like, hit his house, and he's like looking at me with binoculars all the way to when I pull my cart up, and I told my daughter, and she's like, "Dad, I'm a girl. I'll just tell him I hit it." And I'm like, "No, because he watched you almost drive the green." So we'll just go ahead and I'll go take my medicine, and I go up there, and this crabby old guy, he's like, "You need to learn to golf." And I'm like, "I need a can of aiming oil." You know what I mean? He's like, "You need something other. You need some fucking practice is what you need." So that can of beer is for the average, just mediocre, likes to get on the golf course, doesn't care that he shoots 120, doesn't care what he shoots. Like, he's dropping mulligans because that last one didn't count. You need a can of aiming oil to get through the golf course day, and that's kind of what it was geared toward. If you see kind of the resemblance, so the front of the can is actually, I have that actual can sitting in my office. That is actually a 1940s Texaco like model. So they had the stars across the top. It said Texaco in it. My artist grabbed because I'm like, I want like that can. And then boom, I had like literally that can with aiming oil in it and like all the crazy scratch marks and everything on it.
So cool.
I'm like, it needs to look like an oil can. So we grabbed this one, changed up some of the stuff on it. But it's like a 1940s or something, a Texaco can. And again, with Rude and Crude, like, wash your balls. You know what I mean? Like, take it how you
use the ball washer.
Take it how you want it. But if you walk up the tee box with dirt on your balls, like your ball's not going straight, right?
Exactly.
We need all the help we can get as amateur golfers, like these novice golfers, to just get the ball in the fairway. So wash your goddamn balls. Like, don't not do it. Dude, what's the next thing I wrote on there? Aim? Is it wash your balls?
It's what?
Aim.
It's wash your balls.
Grip.
Check your grip.
Yeah, check your grip, right? Because so I got that check your grip. I got the check your grip from my daughter's swing coach, because he always tells her, he's like, you don't touch your hands once you walk up to your ball. Like, you get your grip over here, and then you walk up to your ball and you don't touch your grip. Like, you don't let off, you don't do this. You get your grip, you feel it, and then you go up to your ball. You don't touch your hands. So check your grip, right? Check your stance. So make sure your ball's aligned and to where you want it. So these are all things. These are all true things. No irony behind these things, but check your stance. Make sure your ball's where you want, your foot placement. Aim and swing. So aim small, like they say aim like find like a branch or something, like a little twig right in front of your ball, and follow your golf club through to the ball, right? So aim and swing. And then I'll watch the ball frame you from behind as your buddy and tell you where it went in the neighbor's house.
If I had $1, every time my dad would tell me, or my grandfather, I'll watch your ball. You just keep your head down. I'll tell you where the thing lands. Yeah.
And then you hit it and they're like, I don't know. I lost it. I lost it in the sun. Okay, great.
Totally.
Yeah, thanks.
I had too much aiming oil on the way. Yeah.
So that aiming oil is geared toward like load a 6-pack of those up. It's more shit talking, right? Because it's like, bro, it's like, Rob, you fucking suck, bro. You need a can of aiming oil.
Here, you need a can of this, bro. Here you go.
Yeah, you suck. You need a can of aiming oil. Like, so that beer was originally, it was one of those beer things. We talk shit in the brewery, and my friend, a good friend of mine, Bob Kay, he's a State Farm agent here in town. He's like, he would call it swing lube, and swing lube was taken, the name swing lube. Like, there was another brewery using it. And then he came up with aiming oil. So he's like, we need a golfing beer, dude. So when we go out, so whenever he goes golfing with his buddies, they have pregame in the parking lot of the golf course with a case of aiming oil. It honestly, like, this is one of those things, like, I didn't invent that beer. My buddy Bob invented that beer. It was just something that I'm like, okay, I'll put it in a can for you and freaking see what it does, So it's kind of a hybrid beer. It's a hybrid. It's an ale. A lot of our listeners or whatever, they're like, you walk into a brewery and you're like, give me your finest ale. It's like, all right, fucking idiot. Like, all of my beers are ales almost. Like, if it says lager, then it's a lager. But if not, everything I have is an ale in this brewery. So it's still an ale, but it's like that easy drinking, super easy drinking. Got a few rice and corn adjuncts in it just to give it a little flavor. So it's kind of that hybrid, domestic beer that'll get people to transition that are Coors Miller Bud drinkers into craft beer. So every like Coors Bud or Miller drinker that comes to my brewery and they order one, like, it's not up for me to, say, oh, you don't drink cool craft beer. No, it's like, we'll give you your beer, but you're also getting a taster of this aiming oil. And 9 out of 10 times, like, they want to fit in the brewery, they order a freaking pint of aiming oil because they're like, oh, shit, that's good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's good. And now they're in here drinking it. Like, we make lots of it. And it's an easy house beer.
It's a great beer.
I would definitely agree. Super easy to drink. It's only so you can have, especially if you're golfing, it's 4.2% on the ABV. So it's not like you're going out to the golf course with a 7% IPA, which I have done before. And the Phoenix Heat, I don't really recommend.
It's not fun.
I would definitely recommend this right here.
That's right.
There's a time and place for, like, every beer. Like, it's like, oh, I just drink IPAs. Like, nah. Like, I'll crush anything. You know what I mean? All the breweries from Phoenix, when I see their beers in grocery stores up here, dude, I don't drink my beer all day long. I buy their shit. You know what I mean? I taste their craft, and they put it out there for guys like me to buy it. So I don't just sit there and drink my own product. Everyone's like, oh, you got a brewery, you just must, like, drink your own beer all the time. I don't even know if I have any of my own beer in my own fridge at home. You know what I mean? It's like I might have a couple of my friends come over and be like, you got one of them IPAs, like, in your fridge? Yeah, sure. Here's one of them. But I'm grabbing onto something else that, my cohorts down in the valley or whatever, Other Roads Brewing or, the other guys are making. I'm grabbing that stuff when I see it because it A, supports their business. It helps clear beer off the shelves. And it just makes you keen to your industry that you're in, because these guys are in the same industry you are in. And, if you're drinking their products, I feel like that's kind of the thing we should all be doing, is just kind of, sharing that thing. We go out and buy theirs, they buy ours, whatever. So it's good.
So go get this beer. Go get your aiming oil. You see anything Rickety Cricket, anywhere you're at, get it, give it a shot, because it might be a small city beer, but it matches up with the big city beers. And that's what you notice, too, that brewers don't all come from big cities. Great brewers. They're not all in the big breweries that you know about. There are so many people making amazing beers, Terry being one of them, and running a great restaurant and a great tap room. And you'll definitely laugh when you're there, when you order your dildo or just the tip. So, Terry, it's been absolutely a pleasure being able to chat with you. Mike and I will try to figure out when we can both ride up to Kingman and hang out, maybe around that time that beer garden opens. And
hey, quick question, quick question for you. Are you guys going to go to you guys going to set your booth up actually at Strong Beer?
No booth. I don't think we're going to do a booth over there, Strong Beer. I think we're just going to go hang out.
I think you guys should do a booth. I think it really bump your show up. And I bet if you got to talk to Rob, maybe he'd give you a booth or something to just just do like a 5-minute thing with all of the brewers. I think it'd be really cool for your show, and get people really aware of your listening audience. Because if you want to talk about gaining audience, that's where to do it. Because everyone there has one passion. They're there for the beer.
That's true. Good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a very good idea.
The guy knows what he's doing. He's got a coffee shop, for the love of grief.
That will be necessary after we hang out with Terry at Rickety Cricket. We will definitely need the coffee the next morning.
Yes.
And I'm going to try and get signed up and get girl farts on the – we'll try and get girl farts to see if I can get it there in time. See if we can get there that weekend.
Yeah, awesome. And I want to chat with you. I'll reach out to you next week. You said you're going to the BMW thing this weekend?
I'm going on the 19th, the weekend of the 19th. Yeah.
Okay. So afterwards I'll reach out to you, because I want to talk about that and have you on the outdoor show, and we'll, obviously we'll pitch the beer as well. Yeah. And so, I think that's that'd be cool. That'd be a cool little thing.
I might grab some more listeners, because that's actually a really big thing in your area. Yeah. Is the adventure biking.
That's crazy.
It's pretty big, and you're into all the camping and all that stuff. So a lot of those guys want light gear and that kind of stuff to pack around.
Yep. And I always talk about comfort too. I talk about just no reason you shouldn't be comfortable while you're out there doing the things. So the cooler the gears, the cooler the gadgets. That's all about me talking. So man, it's been a great time chatting with you, man.
Yeah.
What's that?
Camp though? You camp?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I have the glampiest I get right now is my jumping jack trailer, which is the pop-up canvas. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So
love it.
All about it, man.
All right, guys. Well.
All right, Terry. It's been great, man. Appreciate it.